Okay, so in this video I want to take a look at building the scenes that will be used in your sample presentation like you see here. So we're taking a look at layout, and in this presentation you can see the model views that are referenced into each sheet. Here's kitchen elevations, perspective, bath elevation, and you'll notice that the view I create here is very different from the view that you're going to create in the model. The view that we create in the model is basically the rough draft. It is the canvas upon which we will add our detail, which will be in layout. And it's here that we'll add annotations such as dimensions, notes, graphics, titles, okay, working with different size layouts. And we'll be using layout itself to export as PDF or even do hard copies. Okay? So let's take a look at how we get to this point. And before we continue with that, let me show you what we're going to finish with. So here's an example of the plan view scene. And you can see here that I'm using a very simple DWG style in black and white. I also have a enlarged kitchen view like this, a kitchen section view. So notice how it looks different here as opposed to the way that it looked in layout. And in layout we'll be able to use graphics to clip views of the model and even to embellish views of the model. Here's the second scene. Here's the kitchen perspective. Here I'm just using a very simple black and white sketch view. But if you take a look at your styles here, sorry, let's go back. I'll cut this out. Damn it. All right, so here you can see I'm just using the simple presentation black and white style here, but I can switch it to full color. You can see this one is showing section cuts. Here the section cuts are removed, right? So simply by saving the scene, you can easily switch the styles. And then we have finally our exterior scene view here. And now you can notice here, I've actually combined exterior elements like landscape, entourage elements, features like furnishings or people, things like that. So let's take a look at building scenes. So here's the model. And let's start first building the plan view, okay? What we want to look at first is layers, okay? We want to make sure that the information that we're going to show is the only thing that's going to show. So here, what we need to do is check your layers, and we want to be able to freeze things like the roof, the stairs. We only need to see the building architecture. So let's take a moment and freeze our landscape and other bits of information. All right, so far, this is what our model looks like right now after hiding a bunch of layers. So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and use your standard view, the top view, like this. And we could also work in an isometric view, because what we're going to do to produce floor plan, we're going to use a section. All right, so I just want to make sure that we've got all the right information. Also, you'll notice I have shadows on, which I can turn off. I can turn off those shadows. And also for the style, right? For the style here, I'm going to go back to select. Always go back to your model so you can see which styles you've saved for your model. You can see I have a bunch of these 2D drawing styles here. You can see there's the one with the section cut, right? So we'll come back and use that style. But for the moment, I'm just going to use a simple modeling style, right? And notice that I can also dynamically turn on and off the settings for the section. Okay, so let's get our view, and we'll do that with section. And here's the other thing, okay? Our floor plan is 4 feet above the finished grade. Floor plan view is going to be anywhere between 32 and 42 inches above the finished floor. So if I place my section there, right, now you can see the section settings turned on, right? This is at the bottom of those walls. What I want to do is I want to take that section. You can see the previous section that I have here. I want to take that section and I want to move it up. So you see it selected using the Move tool. Just click anywhere off the model and then pull along the blue axis. Use the value control box and just type in 42 or anything between 32 and 42. Okay. And then you can align the view just by right-clicking over it. Align your view like that. And then you should see your model. Now the reason why I don't see it right now is because when I added this section, I actually turned off the floor, right? So it's actually, when I placed it, it was at 0, right? So notice that if I raise it up, you can start to see the model, right? So what you might want to do there is keep your floor layer on so you could place the section and then raise it up and then turn off the floor layer. So right now with this particular style, we can see the section cut, but we could also see the planes. That's not what I want for the view. Okay, so what I could do is go ahead and select my style, right, that shows the section cuts but doesn't show the planes. Then I could get right back into the proper view by using the standard view and double check here. Double check. Look at camera. Are you in perspective or are you in parallel? So we want to switch to make sure we're in parallel projection. Right? And you don't have to worry about scale. All you need to do is zoom in, make sure everything that you want to see is visible. And when you're ready, you've double checked your style, your shadow settings, right? We've got our shadows off. There's shadows on. We're going to turn those shadows off. Okay, you can use sun for shading to illuminate all the surfaces, but we don't want to see shadows. Next, open up your scene manager and go ahead and add it as a scene. You can select the name, rename it, hit enter to update it, and there's our plan view. All right, now as we continue, we need to do, let's say, an enlarged kitchen view, which we could easily manipulate this view, right? I mean, if I wanted to, I could just zoom in like this and make this my view, right? But I could also import the regular floor plan view using layout and zoom in and crop my view there as well. So it's not really necessary to get any more detailed views here unless it's very different from the view I have here. And that could be what layer information I have on or off, or what style I want to use. So let's just continue. Now what we need to do is we need to produce our elevations, right? All of our elevation markers and documentation, all those annotations will be added in layout. But here we want to establish the physical section plane, right? So let's start with the first one. Again, what I would do is get into a view, typically an isometric view, and use a style that's going to be appropriate for your next view. So here I'm just going to keep the same style. Next, using the section plane tool, okay, highlight that and then align yourself to a wall, making sure that that wall is parallel, right? So if I click on the wall, zoom out, and then you can select the section. What you'll want to do here is zoom in again and use move, click somewhere off the model and drag along the red axis. What you'll want to try to do here is get a view close enough so you can see where you're placing your section, right? Find a place that's appropriate, and then you can stop the move command. Next thing is to right-click over it and align your view. Okay, next thing is go back to your style and then reselect. Do not update. Reselect the style that you want to use, right? Zoom in. Here you can see completed view. I'm going to come over to scenes, add scene, and this will be kitchen section 1. Okay? Now, the rest of the views, or the next section, is going to be pretty similar, right? So look at this. I'm going to get out of that view. All right, still using the same style. Going back to section, aligning with the wall here, zooming out, selecting the section plane, and using move. Again, get close enough so you can see what's happening, right? Don't select anything else. Go off the side of the model where there's nothing. Click and then drag. Okay, find a location in the model. Place the section, right-click over it, and align. You could also use Control-T to make deselection, right? Use Control-T to deselect everything, and then just tap the space bar. Go back to your style palette here, and again, reselect the saved style. Zoom in, making sure, once again, that you're in parallel projection, no shadows, and then go back to your scene manager. Add a new scene, and this one will be called kitchen section 2. Okay, hit enter and it'll be updated. All right, so far we've got the floor plan, kitchen elevation. Now let's take a look at creating the kitchen perspective. Here we're going to think about a different style and different camera settings, right? We're going to be using perspective, we're going to be using camera tools, and we're going to be selecting a different style, all right? So, again, if I get into just a isometric view, if I remove the section plane cuts, now I'm going to look at my camera toolbar here. So if you don't have your camera toolbar, make sure you right-click over the toolbars, and you could call it up. And what I'm going to work with first here is the position camera tool. When I activate that, I'm going to click onto the floor, right? Actually, remember, there's no floor there, so what I'm clicking on right now is 0, right? So we'll have to adjust our eye level. So here, I'll click, hold, drag, and then drop it onto what's going to be my focus. Now look at my view, right? Not what I expect. But if I go to view, camera, switch to perspective, look at the eye level, right? Eye level is 0. Remember, the floor is 4 feet plus the height that I want to be looking at above that. So let's just say another 4 feet, right? So if I do a total of 8 feet, just type. You don't even have to click on anything, just type 8 feet, enter. Now, using the look around tool, click in the view window and drag down, drag down, drag down, making sure those vertical lines stay vertical. Now this may be a close-up view, right? Take a look at camera again, and we want to look at field of view. Notice there we have 65 degrees. We can use anywhere between 55 and 75, right? Once you establish the field of view, switch over to zoom. They both look the same. Be very careful, all right? Look at this, camera, field of view. See the icon? It looks the same, but if I click right now, notice how it's changing field of view, not the zoom, right? So just type to fix 65 degrees, but use the zoom tool to get a wider view, right? So just click and pull back. Now notice, if you start to blank out or walk into walls, zoom back in, okay, and adjust. Keep using your look around tool till you get your main features in focus. Again, think about the rule of thirds, right? Divide your view into thirds, both vertically and horizontal. And you want to get the key features into those intersections, right, of in the rule of thirds. Right now, I'm just using a very basic DWG style here, but now I can switch. I can use any of my other presentation styles. Okay, here's one in color. Here's one in color with the section planes. Here again is the black and white. Here's the presentation in color. I believe I should have another presentation in color. Yeah, here's the sky background. But look at this, right? What if I wanted to have this in color? This is an interior, but right now I'm not showing the roof, right? So if I was going to show this in black and white, I don't need to show the roof, have the whole background in black and white, and this could be a saved scene as black and white. But if I wanted to make this scene for full color, maybe what I need to do here is actually show, close up that roof, right? Like I show here. And then again, when you're doing interior shots, you don't want to use shadows necessarily, okay? But here, I'm using sun for shading. And you'll notice I'm using a noontime and a summer date. Also, notice the sliders here for light and dark shadows, okay? They're set pretty high. So once I've made those selections for my style, my shadow settings, my camera settings, my layer settings, this view is ready to be saved. So add the view and we'll call it kitchen perspective. Now we still have the bathroom elevation and the bathroom perspective to complete, but I'll let you guys work on those, okay? In the next video, we're going to take a look at bringing these scenes into layout to begin our final document presentation.